Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? Oh, excuse me. Oh, let's get a drink of water before we get started here. Okay. All right, so today I'm continuing my journey with Bravo and my CC grind for Baltimore. The results for the Battle Harden are up. The top 8 was like a Dash, an Azalea, a Lexi, 2 Oldhams, a Bravo, and a Dromai, I believe is what it was. Now, it ended up being 2 Oldhams. The 2 Oldhams was the mirror. They said that Sledge of Anvilheim was swung 38 times in the mirror, and I was like, yep, that sounds about right. But they said Mansant said the video or the game was actually pretty interesting. I think one of the things that you can expect to take away from Richmond is that Lexi's going to become a lot more popular. Like if you were playing at the PT, you're playing at the Calling, I think that Dromai and Lexi are going to become very popular. Dromai's will probably believe that they have a very favored matchup into Lexi. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's a very close matchup. But based off of this weekend and, kind of what the team thinks and some chatting that I've done this morning with everybody, we think you can expect to see a big uptick in Lexi. Now the question is, can my Bravo list beat up on Lexi? Like, do I have the capability to try and run them over with crippling crushes, spinal crushes, things like that, and really just try to shut them down? The one good thing that I have going for me into the Lexi matchup or any Ranger matchup in general is that they don't have a lot of equipment to block with. Command and Conquer Pummel is an extremely good play against them, and they don't have a lot of equipment. So my dominated spinal crushes and crippling crushes are a lot more likely to come through. So there is a little bit there that's like I don't know. Like I just think that Lexi's just going to pop up. It's going to be a lot more popular. So as Bravo, I need to try and adjust and be ready for that. I did take out the red staunch response, the 2 red staunch response and the 2 blue staunch response, and put in 2 red immovables and blue immovables. I did that in my list. If Lexi starts to pick up, probably going to go back to staunch response because staunch response still blocks 7 and blocks 5 and plays around a frostbite. I don't know that it's going to be Ice Lexi that is super popular, but if it is, we need to be ready for it. So anyway, there's my tidbit about Comp CC public. Okay, so there's my tidbit about Richmond from this past weekend, kind of what we're looking forward to. So I'm going to continue to play Bravo because I continue to think that Bravo is in a good spot. So this is interesting. I've actually never played against Dory as Bravo. So he lives in the Remembrance. I can't imagine that's correct. Like, I can't imagine a world where that's correct. We're just going to play the old 65 card special here and just try to make it good enough. Playing Courage, Bracers. So my opponent has 6 equipment block, but more importantly, they have 4 equipment block the first time around. So if we can really get like a heavy dominated attack going here kind of early, like a Pummel Spinal Crush would be pretty good. I was like, you're about to play Tome of Fiendel and pass? It's like, that's spicy. So my opponent just passes to me, which means I'm going to throw my Spinal Crush here and arsenal my Pummel. Setting up with a Seismic Surge gives me a pretty good start here. Like, we're setting up the Seismic Surge, and we also have a Pummel that we're getting ready to put into the arsenal. So their Mage Master Boots is turned off if they don't block out the Crush effect. So it also turns off their Tome of Fiendel here. So they'll... Is this a defense reaction? Like a Steel Blade Shunt or something? No, Sink Below? Alright. So they play a Sink Below. So they take one. We take the lead. Yay! Not that that really matters, honestly, but... I mean, we could go make a surge, debilitate pummel here. Not that the pummel's like super relevant. I don't know. Like, we might just be looking at block with the red unmovable here, and then if they go buff power, we're definitely just going to block with the red unmovable and then throw the hammer. We'll pitch the Thunderquake here. I mean, what other options do we have? Like, we also have pummel the Cranial Crush by taking 7. So we go to 33. We throw all of our cards to Cranial Crush pummel. I don't know. That doesn't seem very cash money, as it were. So we'll just play the unmovable here. We'll just take hammer for 6. I could have thrown the debilitate. Could have been worth there. The fact that my opponent's giving us, I was like, okay, they're either gonna. Is this? Do you break this one or is this the +1? Yeah, like this is just very wrong in my opinion from our opponent here. Like, I can't imagine why they want to block with Brave Forge Bracers. Now, the fact that they have 5 cards is absolutely... They have 5 cards and a Toma Fiendal in their arsenal. Oh, I thought they had a Toma Fiendal. Oh, wow. Oh, boy! Oh, this is going to be rough. So, if we can keep the 2 Rouse the Ancients, we are setting up second cycle Rouse the Ancients. Wait, what? So this is for 8, dominate, go again. And if they're going to do anything, they have to have a 0 for 3. So we can go... block Terra Sunder. Block... Crater Fist, plating this for 3, 5, 7, 8. I can't play around them having anything else, so I think this is our best block. Hopefully they don't have a 0 for 3. They had a lot of very good cards, so them having a 0 for 3 doesn't seem crazy to me. But if they don't have a pump spell here, wow. Okay. So we know that we have a good pitch stack with the Rouse because we put a Thunderquake and a Cranial Crush on the bottom. So we know that we have it set up. And there's a 6 in there, like a Debilitate or something. There's a 6 in there, I'm pretty sure. But even that is still okay. So we make a Surge, throw the Chokeslam, have 2 floating, and then we just play the pummel. Just have some disruption this way. I could activate Bravo if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to activate Bravo. Like this, like the crush effect is only relevant if they actually have a if they actually have like a choke, not a an Enlightened Strike. Whew. They have an Enlightened Strike. But I mean, we're up 16 points right now, and they've blocked with all of the equipment that they have that blocks, and they have they've broken Courage already. They've played 2 of this. So this is for 7. On hit, they get to hit us again. I could... So... block crippling, crown. This is like an awkward little setup here. It's probably best to take 7 and then block the 4. I'll have to block 4 on the second one, but I can give them tectonic plating and crippling crush. Or I guess I give them spinal crush and I throw the crippling crush. Or I can... So I still have 3 equipment block left, which I do think is relevant to note, because having 3 equipment block left, like against Dory, is pretty relevant. So I can just take 7 here, I think. So I don't even have to block with my equipment because they didn't activate this. I could also... no, we have to block with the... I don't want to put 3 Rousey Ancients on the bottom of my deck, like, in a row. That just feels not great. I'm going to throw the Cranial Crush in between the Rousey Ancients here. So it does give me a little bit of a buffer. Oh. What does Cash In say? How many copper do you have to have? Destroy 4 coppers, 2 silvers, or 1 gold. So they can actually activate their next cash in they have, which is pretty neat, honestly. That's pretty cool. Wow, and you just take that? Well, I'm pretty much just not blocking whatever you're doing this turn because I have Dominate a Crippling Crush. Like, yeah, this doesn't have Go Again. Like, it doesn't have any counters. We've played the defensive game well so far. And they just throw 3 at me? What is going on? This person must have just started playing the game or something. I'm going to go Thunderquake, Debilitate, then Showtime here. Are they just going to 2? I kind of feel like they've just given up here, which, to be fair, is pretty understandable. So this is a Talishar opponent. They're playing Dorinthia, and we went second. I'm going to wait to write down the win. I'm not going to jinx myself here and put a dub down in the column before it's over, although it is 30-2. Okay. This doesn't currently have Go Again, so I'm just going to say no blocks here. Okay. So we pitch Unmovable to play Terra Sunder, make a Surge, and then come in with Disable for 7 Dominate. So Terra Sunder. And it's for 7 because of this round's on me. So, I mean, and if they don't have a defense reaction in their arsenal, which we know they do have, they are playing at least Sink Belows. They probably are on or should be on some number of Steelblade Shunts. I don't know how many that is, but... Alright, well... Didn't honestly feel like much of a game. Felt like my opponent was pretty new to that whole, like, just to maybe Flesh and Blood in general, maybe Talishar, I don't know. All right, well, 1-0 on the day. Feels pretty good. Let's just jump in one of the comp CC lobbies here. Playing against Oldham, and I will go first. Hi and good luck, opponent. Oldham. Very last one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I agree with Ed Knight's take here. Command and Conquerors aren't great. Blue Pummels are rough. The two sigils are not cool, and the Spinal Crushes basically do nothing. The only way that any of those cards are really good is if we're looking to, just like looking to throw attacks. Like the Spinal Crush is just a big attack. You could probably talk me into having it in the deck, honestly. Talshar, Oldham, and I'm going first. Well, hopefully my opponent's here. Okay. So, I mean, let's just dominate a chokeslam here. Like, we get to arsenal our pummel, and we get to set up a one of our first hand here is going to be a Tear Asunder Hammer. Rampart is actually pretty important because Rampart allows them to block out 7 on the Tear Asunder Hammer. So they have Crown of Seeds for 1 point. They take 2 here. I could have honestly seen them ice reacting just to get the card out of my hand. Part of me is inclined to just not block here. I mean, I have to go to 32 to be able to throw 12 with a pummel here. Otherwise, this hand is not very good and honestly doesn't really do much. I could block 3 and then throw the hammer. The Remembrance makes this hand extremely awkward. And I think this is one of those, like, we're just going to have to commit to saying, okay, like, we'll take 8 here. So, Kieran, what are you doing? Taryn's laying beside me on the ottoman here. Taryn helping me prepare for the Pro Tour. So, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of taking 8 in this matchup. This is a second cycle matchup. Like, this is definitely a second cycle matchup where you're trying to play the second cycle where you have a Zealous Belting into, like, Hammer turn setup or a Zealous Belting into a Chokeslam turn setup. Like, that's absolutely what you're looking for here in this matchup. Most of the time, there is the occasional hand. There is the occasional game you'll play where, like, you just have super advantage early in the game and you'll just, like, try to run them over as fast as humanly possible. It's also important to try and hang on to your equipment as long as possible. So we'll go ahead and play the pommel here. Okay, so my opponent takes 3, goes to 35. We're going to go Buckling Blow, Visage, then Remembrance. This hand is honestly really bad. The Remembrance makes my Crippling Crush hand very awkward also. I think the Remembrance is the 4th card, so we're starting a new hand here. I can just go Zealous Belting with the pummel here to try and get some cards out of my opponent's hand. This hand's not great. I'm honestly kind of inclined to go pitch Crippling Crush and Showtime, or pitch Crippling Crush, make a surge, pitch Showtime to hammer for 6 here. And that way we're setting up multiple blues. Now the Remembrance, again, is just going to throw everything off. But if we make sure that we have a surge going into... I could have pitched the Pummel too, I suppose, but I don't want yellow, red, blue, red. Like, that's just really bad. But I do like the idea of... I like the idea of having, like, I just need to make sure that on my Terrace Under Hammer turn that I remember to make a Seismic Surge so that I can have, so that I can play Crippling Crush off of 2 blues. Now, Terrace Under Hammer Surge is not always the easiest thing to do, so... Okay. They're going to Crown of Seeds here. So take 1. What is this? Jeez. We can't win for losing right now. So we can... I think I'm just gonna... Man, I don't want to use my Crown of Providence here. This is really bad. I think I'm just gonna go to 28 to be able to Zealous Belting Pummel. And then Arsenal my next Zealous Belting here. Like, man. These hands have been pretty awkward. We're just going to Arsenal our second Zealous Belting here and try to set up a turn where we can, like, have go again with some relevant on hit, like, with some relevant follow-up here. Now, even a hammer follow-up is still an 11-point turn, so it's a pretty solid turn, honestly. Or am I better off to pitch the Zealous Belting and then Arsenal the Disable here? Am I better off playing that way so that I can have second cycle Zealous Belting and the Disable might be able to push through some pretty decent damage next turn? Let's go with that. I kind of like that line. I mean, they could Tunic Crown here. So if they play this and then I was like, if they crown and do this, they take nothing and they still get to keep 2 cards in their hand. I mean, them having Respite there on us having a Pummel hand was pretty good. We're going to go Unmovable and then Zealous. I'm going to block Imposing Visage here, take nothing. The fact that Hammer was only for 3 is very good for us. So we're going to make a Surge, activate Bravo, and come in with a Disable here because we don't have a way to play Rouse, and we're also setting up a second cycle Rouse by having an 8 and 3 together, and then another blue is all we'll need. So let's make a Surge. Let's activate Bravo. And let's come in for 9 Dominate. We really need to try and get some damage through here. Like, there's nothing really wrong with us being down some points early, honestly. That's okay. But we definitely need to start making up some ground here. It is worth noting that if I had not changed back to the red disable, that would have been a Sigil of Solace or something like that. Like, would have been not very good. That's what I'm trying to say. The red disable here doing work, especially if Oldhim is picking up. Okay. So my opponent takes 1 here. Quake, Crush, Rouse. And then we can make sure we pitch our Macho Grande first here. So they do have the pummel here, which honestly is kind of funny to me because, like, what is their pummel really going to accomplish? I mean, if I block 2 cards and then they pummel me, I'm just going to discard the debilitate, or I'm going to... I guess it takes away my whole turn. So I'm going to block for 5 here, use the equipment. And if they have the pummel, then they have the pummel. Like, it is what it is. They have been trying to hang on to their arsenal for quite a few turns, I think. I think they've had it for about 3 turns now, so they could have very well been hanging onto the pummel, hoping for a Frostfang or some effect like this. They might also be sitting there going, I wonder if this guy is like trying to mind game me and he has a sink below. Because if I block 5 and he plays the pummel and I have a sink below, it's like equal blowout city here. I'm just going to throw the Macho Grande. Like, it's 8 dominate. We're getting to use our hand very effectively here. And it's more than it would have been with the hammer. You really have to have tempo going into the late game to be able to throw a Macho Grande, so... This deck is an Oldhim Fatigue deck. Sorry, I just saw your message. Honestly, I'm not sure if they're playing Oldhim Fatigue. They might be. I haven't seen any of the gain life effects, such as... I haven't seen any gain life effects, such as the... having a stroke. Like Healing Bomb, Sigil of Solace, things like that, so I'm not sure. Hey Puget, Rick Beta, I like your question. It's hard to tell if they're playing Fatigue sometimes. The Puget, I hope I'm saying that right. Is this client easy enough to use for a new player coming from Comp Magic? So I really like this client coming from Comp Magic. Like I played competitive Magic for 7 years, and I love the client. It's sometimes people are a little all over the place with things they do. Like you can take things back, and I think sometimes people in competitive lobbies take things back a little bit too much. But this is a very good client if you're coming from Magic and you understand the stack and rules interactions and you're trying to get into Flesh and Blood. This is a great place to start. Yeah, I would definitely suggest playing on Talishar. So it's another Frostfang. They have 2 floating. Their arsenal's definitely a pummel. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We already have a Rouse the Ancients pitch stack set up and a Zealous Belting. So I'm just going to block Showtime here. Showtime, Rouse. They're going to play their pummel, and I'm going to take 4. Yes, I would like to pay 2 to avoid discarding a card. I'm going to pay this way, and then I have nothing to discard. So it kind of works out in that sense. That's not a pummel. They had it in their hand. That's interesting. So, yeah. Pitching the Crippling Crush first allowed us to overpitch to not lose a card from our deck here. I'm not very used to playing against Oldhim, but is this style of trying to defend whenever possible normal for him? Yes, absolutely. Oldhim is an extremely defensive hero. And a lot, like, there was an aggro Oldhim for a while that people were playing, but that's not really where Oldham's at right now. Oldhim is an extremely defensive hero that plays like cards like Peace of Mind, Oasis Respite, Sink Below, Fate Foreseen, and he uses Rampart of the Ram's Head and Crown of Seeds to try and just grind you out like every single turn. So this is probably going to have to be a Sink Below here. We'll see what we draw. I don't think I'm going to sink anything. My hand isn't like looking for anything. So if they come in with the hammer after this, I'm going to block 3 and then I'm going to throw my hammer for 4. Like, it's just a more efficient turn cycle for me. Okay, so they're going to come in with a Spinal Crush here. So Spinal Crush is a good one. I can block 3 and throw 4 with my hammer, which is a more efficient, like, that is 7 points versus blocking 6, which is only 6 points, which means I am giving up a point. But sometimes you have to take into account the life parity and what that looks like. My opponent has not used any equipment block here yet this far, and they probably still have a red staunch response. I imagine they're playing 2, and we have yet to see any copies of Peace of Mind. So I'm gonna take 6 here. I don't know if it's correct, but I'm gonna take 6 here, and I'm gonna throw the hammer. My opponent's Disruption has lined up very well for them. I haven't really been able to throw any big attacks. We threw a nominated Chokeslam, and I had Pummel on the Zealous Belting. Now, the Chokeslam they only took 2 from, which was impressive on turn 0. And then they covered up the Zealous Belting turn. Phew. They covered up the Zealous Belting turn, which was tough, honestly. Like, that was supposed to be a pretty good turn where we tried to take some tempo that way. It is probably, and when I say probably, I mean almost absolutely, indefinitely, incredibly wrong of me to take 10 here. Part of me wants to. I go to 8. I throw the hammer for 7. Like, there's just no world where this is correct. I need to be able to play my Pulverize here. Maybe I'm supposed to block 6, take 4, and then heave my Pulverize. That is probably the correct play here. Block Terra Sunder, Thunderquake, and then heave Pulverize. I'm giving my opponent a 7-point life lead and an entire turn cycle to do something here where I really don't have any like say in what happens, but I just kind of have to hope that they drew a brick hand. This hand is not very good. I am very tempted to so if I block Pulverize and Crown of Providence and I put my Crippling Crush on the bottom, I get to block 5, take 3, and then hope to find a blue. Or I could take 4, hope they don't have a Pummel, because if they have another Pummel here, like, that's pretty bad for me. And something tells me they're on like 3 Pummels here just based off of their list. They're playing Red Frostfang and things like that. So this feels like aggro Oldhim. This is tough. I hate this, how this like glitches and stays up on the screen. I mean, we could block 2, 4, 5, 6 and take 2, but then have no equipment block the rest of the game. I don't think that's correct. Let's block 5. Let's throw the Crippling Crush on the bottom. Actually, or am I just throwing the Pulverize on the bottom? Is that more accurate? No, I think Pulverize. I think I have to have a Pulverize effect to get me back in the game here. Like, I think I have to have the Pulverize to get me back into the game here. I do have to pitch every card. I was not able to find a another blue. If I find another blue there, it's worth noting that I can go activate Bravo and then throw the Pulverize. 14 Dominate is a lot more than 14. The -4 is extremely relevant. It makes the Pulverize an 18-point card instead of a 14, so it is worth noting for sure. This game's not looking great right now. This has been a... Whoop! Did not mean to pull that up. I was editing videos earlier, so you guys got to have like a 5-second sneak peek into what me editing videos looks like. So they currently have 6. This is 10, 14. And this is the difference. I mean, I guess it wouldn't have mattered. They get to cover up everything here. They took nothing off of my Pulverize, which is a feels bad moment to say the least. And we have another Rouse the Ancients turn that is virtually unplayable. So we can go... So if we pitch Chokeslam to play Buckle, and then we pitch Rouse to play Anothos for 7, we have a chance to be able to destroy their Crater Fist. They're just going to block with it if they can't cover it up. But it still is a pretty good card that, like, it's still a good turn. The other play we have is Chokeslam Pummel for 10. Honestly, none of my hands are really lining up the way I want to here. Like, nothing I have is lining up the way I want to. And if I go Chokeslam Pummel, I'm also not going to be able to play my Zealous Belting second cycle if we get to it, which is important to keep in mind because I do need that. So I think we're just going to have to go Buckle Hammer. I don't know. I'm trying to look back on it. Like, and honestly, it feels like my hands have just not lined up. Like, I had 2 triple red hands early in the game. Like, getting to dominate the Chokeslam on turn 0 felt pretty solid. And then I got to dominate the Disable, which was pretty cool. But, like, my Pulverize hand didn't line up. The hands before, like, I had 2 triple red hands on, like, turn 3 and 4 of the game that were just not good. Like, and they were just super awkward. And so it's just been not great. This feels like an Oasis Respite or a Peace of Mind or something like that. Like, my opening hand was great. And then it kind of felt like everything after that's just kind of been downhill. Like, so here. I am going to go Chokeslam Pummel here. Like, they're going to heave Thunderquake, which means they're going to be able to block pretty effectively. But I do have the Sink Pillow here. Like, this is a 12-point turn, and if they overextend, we might be able to get it to where they have to decide play Thunderquake or I'm having a stroke. I can't remember what I was going to say. They're going to keep their cards to play around the Pummel, which is smart. Now, they don't have anything here. They are going to take... Okay, so they have Staunch Response. They can pitch... Huh. Are you going to pitch another red? So they're going to block 10, take 2. Taryn, what are you doing? Thought you were asleep, baby. What happened? Taryn was laying beside me asleep. Laying beside me asleep. This hand's not great. I think I'm just gonna throw the disable for 5 here and just force them to cover up some amount. I mean, card and Rampart does allow them to have a decent turn. Like, again, we have a Sink Below and an Unmovable in the same hand, and it's a red Unmovable at that. Another little bit of an awkward hand. I haven't really hit so many awkward hands in the Oldhim matchup to this point. Blocking with your Tome of Harvest here is definitely incorrect, my friend. You should definitely be block Thunderquake, block here, and then pitch this for an Earth React. It's just keeping your card in their deck. Now, my opponent's pretty far ahead, so who am I to try and pick apart their gameplay? But that is, like, unless they have another Earth card and they just wanted to get the Tome of Harvest out of their deck. I think they realized what they done. I think is why they undid right there. That is interesting. So I'm going to play the Sink Below here, and then I'm not going to sink anything. I'm just going to cover up the Frostfang here so they can't do anything. They have to play this Thunderquake at some point. Like, if not, they can't Crown it away because Crown of Seed says put a face down card in your arsenal. Like, so it is very relevant, and I'm going to keep throwing things at them. Like, I know that they have the life total lead right now, but I have the tempo. Like, I am in control of the tempo right now, and I need to keep it that way if we're going to win this game. Because we are a little behind right now. My opponent could just say, I'm going to take 5 here, go to 13, and then throw this 10 at you. Now, if they do that, which it looks like they're going to, the Unmovable is going to put us in a very good spot. Do we have any Showtimes left in our deck? It appears that there is a Showtime, 1 Showtime left in our deck. So I'm going to pitch the Macho Grande here to play the Unmovable. We'll take 2 and go to 9. And then we're going to have a little bit, like, it's kind of cool. Like, it's kind of a fun play. Now, it does completely mess up our pitch stack. So there is that. So we have 2 options here. I can either leave my pitch stack the way it is and throw Cranial Crush, or I can pitch my 2 blues, Buckling Blow and Cranial Crush, play Imposing Visage, go get a Showtime, get another blue, swing the hammer, and then I can have a 5-card hand. Like, kind of. I'll have a 5th card. I'll pop Showtime to draw a card at the beginning of my action phase. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I kind of like our pitch deck, though. Like, I've set up my pitch deck in a pretty decent way here. So let's just throw the Cranial Crush. Like, it's 2 more points than our play was going to be, but the Imposing Visage play would have generally been a better line because, so for anybody who's new to Flesh and Blood or doesn't play a ton of Flesh and Blood, each card on average is worth 3 points. Like, that's just like that's the defined rule of Flesh and Blood, is that on average, the unknown card that you would draw is worth 3 points. So I would be able to attack and then have an extra card on my next turn, which means that I would take 2 less points this turn to have an extra point next turn. So I would swing my hammer, which would be for 6, which means it would be for 6 at my opponent versus 8. So it's 2 less points this turn, but the Showtime would give me an extra card next turn, which means I would get an extra point back. So I'm giving up a point this turn cycle to have an extra one next turn cycle. And I get to keep a Cranial Crush in my deck this way. But the way the game's at right now, I want to get all the cards out of their hand that I can. Like, I just want to be taking cards out of my opponent's hand. Did they play the second red staunch? Okay, cool. So we've taken 2 staunch responses out of my opponent's hand here, which is good. So they'll take 3 if they do this. They go to 10. They've taken 3 here. They probably have something they want to crack back with. They might have an Earth React here. They get back to their pitch stack long before we do. No, so they probably have like a 6 for 10, which is frightening. This is our Terra Sunder hand that I set up, which means the Crippling Crush is coming next turn. So that's great for us. They had to use their Tunic too. So I can go to 5 here, make a Surge, Terra Sunder Hammer. And then I know that my Crippling Crush is in my next hand. And Terra Sunder Hammer gets cards out of their hand, out of their deck. How many cards have we seen? We've seen 2 Oasis Respites, 2 Sink Belows. A lot of us were on 2 Sink Belows up until this past weekend. Man, this is tough. So the other option here is to block 3, take 1, go to 8. Because I'm taking 4 to set up. Yeah, I'm going to block 3 here and just take 1. I think that's a better play. Play Terra Sunder. Play Hammer. They do have to have Earth React here. So Crown of Seeds is 1, Rampart's another, and then they have a 3rd red staunch response. Interesting. Okay. Did not see that coming. I've been playing around 2 very consistently. Yeah, I have to say, I just did not see the other red staunch response coming. I set that up intentionally that way because I was like, the 3rd one just was not in my mind. All right, we're gonna throw Crippling Crush. This will get a couple cards out of their hand. I mean, 1 just because it's 11 points. Rampart's only 7. So if they have Earth React here, they take 3, go to 7, and then they have 1 card to throw the hammer at me with, which means I can block 1 card and then, ooh. Or they'll take 2. Okay. Now they have the Earth React. Okay, so they take nothing, which is fine because they're not going to throw anything back at me. God, this is so bad. This is such a terrible pitch stack right there. So this is awesome because I get to pitch Crush the Weak to play Rouse, revealing Thunderquake, Zealous Belting, and then I get to pitch Thunderquake to Hammer, Arsenal to Zealous Belting. Nice. So this is what I liked about my pitch stack. Right here where we're at right now. The Crippling Crush into the Go Again Hammer turn. This is how you win the Guardian Mirror. I am not saying that I'm going to win the game. I am saying that you have to have turns like this if you're going to win the game over time. Throw the hammer for 6. If they want to take 3, they can Ice React me here. Good play, opponent. All right, so now, all right, my opponent also pitch stacked well. I tip my hat to my opponent. We can block, debilitate, and cranial crush. Take nothing. Or I'm sorry, block, debilitate, crippling crush, and then we can go zealous hammer. Or we can block two, take 4, go to 2, and then throw a dominated crippling crush and lose the zealous belting. And then I honestly can't remember what our next pitch stacked hand is. I think it's better. I hate throwing away my crippling crush here, but I think it's correct to throw an 11-point turn at our opponent here. I think that's the correct play. Well played, opponent. Well played with the pitch stack. I wonder if Paris 96 is also because they were born in 96. Like, that's why the 96 is on the end of my aggro blaze. When I had originally started wanting to stream, I was just going to be aggro blaze. But I needed the 96. Because aggro blaze was taken. I was pretty surprised. Because honestly, the way that we came up with aggro blaze, and I say we because Carly came up with it, is we were just hanging out the house one day. And when I'd ordered my computer, I was like, yeah, I'm going to stream. You know, this is like beginning of 2021. Like, you know, the pandemic's kind of happening and some stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I need a cool name. And she was like, well, what about this? And she said, how about aggro blaze? And like literally just said that one day. Like I was in the shower and Carly suggested it. And it's been stuck that way ever since. So thankfully, I pitch stacked another good hand. I know I said I didn't know what was next, but so I'm glad that I pitch stacked well here. Yeah, the fact that my opponent is blocked, they're dead. They're dead. I mean, they might not actually be dead, but the blocking with Tunic is desperation. Desperation. I did make a mistake here. I got excited and I should have activated. I didn't say GG. I don't know. I should have activated the tectonic plating to make a surge there. So that was a mistake on my part. What is happening? A network error happened. You try again, Talishar. Okay. 2-0. That was a pretty good game to win. Like, and so I like, hang on, I'm gonna type in my notes here, and we'll talk about it. Second cycle. Okay, so the Guardian Mirror is extremely close, and like honestly, so here's how I see the mirror based off of my testing, based off what Kel McCree says, and based off of what Ed Knight says. Bravo is favored. Bravo has to play better than Oldham because Oldham has so many defensive tools at his hands that he can use to try and gum you up and slow you down and stop you from crossing the finish line. In my experience, the only way that you win consistently as Bravo is by pitch stacking Arouse the Ancients or Zealous Belting turn into a hammer, into a choke slam, into something really good. So the fact that I, like, honestly, looking back on that game, that might be the best I've ever pitch stacked. Like that matchup specifically. I've gotten a lot better at it, but I knew that my first hand was Terra Sunder Hammer. I knew that my second hand was going to be Zealous Belting. Or I knew that my second hand was the Crippling Crush, and then the hand after that was Zealous Belting. I've already forgotten, but I knew that I pitch stacked the right way and that we had a good hand coming up. And so to see that pay off there feels pretty good. Like, it feels pretty good for me, somebody who's been trying to get better at pitch stacking. Comp CC. Oh, not Blitz Chain. Somebody already joined this. Does Talishar not, like, reload and, like, refresh this? Like, okay, you actually have to physically click refresh. That's pretty obnoxious. So there was a turn in the game there, second cycle, where I thought I was going to lose. When my opponent had the third red staunch response, I was not ready for that. What am I playing against? Viserai? Interesting. I played 2 red staunch response in my Oldham list. One of my buddies, Alexander on the team, he plays 3 red staunch response, but I kind of thought that was the Alexander special, if you want the truth. So let's see what Ed Knight says we cut. A pulverize, the remembrance, 2 sigils, 2 blue unmovables, 2 red unmovables, and 3 zealous beltings. All right. You don't have to twist my arm too hard to say that. So we get to heave a pulverize here on turn 1. Nice. Is there a better play? Is play Showtime, pitch Imposing Visage, or make a surge off of the pummel and then heave the... Yeah, that's way better. So we're going to pitch Visage to make a Seismic Surge here. We're going to play Showtime. We're going to get a Pulverize. And then we're going to heave the Pulverize. I guess we'll go Visage, Pummel, Showtime. And then whatever card we put on the bottom of our deck next will be the finishing of our 4-card hand. Of our first 4-card hand. If a hero has more life than any other hero, they can't gain life. Reaping Blade, Iron Rot Legs, and Skull Cap. What do you like on like OTK Viserai or something? For what it's worth, if you weren't around for OTK Viserai, it was a miserable time to be alive. You didn't miss anything. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Create a Rune Chant token for each Rune Blade attack action card revealed this way. Then put the cards on the top of your deck in any order. So he gets to like Fate Seal a little bit here. I guess it's not really Fate Seal. He's just like reorganizing. He's playing Arc-Knight Ascendancy. I wonder if he's like, is this Pummel Viserai? This feels like Pummel Viserai. So I'm probably not going to block whatever they do here. Honestly, because I have Make a Surge, Dominate, Pulverize here, Arsenal my Spinal Crush. Or if my Showtime finds me a Pummel, then I can play the Pummel. And an 18-point Pulverize is really just a 22-point Pulverize, which is insane. My opponent is playing 68 cards, which I find pretty interesting. Yeah, no, I'm good here. I'll take this. None of this is like discard a card or do anything else. Then they're gonna Reaping Blade me here. I'm gonna take 4, 1 off the Rune Chant, and then 3 off of that. So I took 9 here to throw minimum 14. I have to keep one of these cards in my hand. I want Disable to be the first card that I draw, because I can, if I have a Surge going into my first hand, I can disable Blue Pummel for 9, which is like better than anything else that my first hand is doing. So we're going to go Tectonic Plating. We're going to go Bravo. And then I guess we'll keep the Choke Slam here. Like, it's 6 in one, half dozen the other. I want to start playing Fab. There's another way to play with others besides Talishar. I don't want to play with more advanced players. So there is another way to play. Also, first off, Petacera. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize. Sometimes my southern lack of education comes out, so I apologize. But I'm glad that you're getting into Fab. Anytime that I hear somebody wants to start playing Flesh and Blood, I'm immediately excited, because I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I always want more people to play Flesh and Blood with. So there is another way to play Talishar, but it's not free. There is a game, if you have a computer, called Tabletop Simulator. And Tabletop Simulator, somebody took the time inside of Tabletop Simulator Oh, my opponent passed. To create a Flesh and Blood, we're going to go Disable, then Debilitate, and we'll Arsenal the Spinal Crush. Somebody took the time to actually make a mod inside of Tabletop Simulator that allows you to play Flesh and Blood. Inside of the Flesh and Blood Discord, the official Flesh and Blood Discord, if you have a Discord, there is a way to find people to play games against. And in the Discord, you can tell people, hey, like, I'm noob, trying to learn. Like, and there will probably be other people who are new and learning to play. That's probably the best way that I would start there, if that's kind of what you're looking at. But if not, I don't know where you live or where you're from. It's also not a bad idea to go down to your LGS. And, if you have an LGS and just kind of, go down there and be like, hey, like, I want to learn to play Flesh and Blood. Somebody will play Flesh and Blood with you. I'm sure they will. The game's starting to pick up a lot in our area. And so, like, normally somebody from the team is happy, like, on our team is happy to just kind of, like, sit and learn and teach people to play. Like, I'm always happy to do it. So, yeah, you're welcome, buddy. So it looks like my opponent's trying to play Sonata. I'm not really sure how much they want to pay into it. They went Chains of Imminence, Meet and Greet, Rune Flash, Whisper, Mordred, Sonata. So they get 2 cards, which means they're going to take the Rune Flash and the Meet and Greet here. They're going to come at me with 2 Arcane. We have a choice. We can either go... What is happening here? Okay, so they wanted to pitch the 9th Blade. So I don't think I'm gonna prevent any of this here. I can pitch Crush the Weak to play Rouse the Ancients, reveal Choke Slam, and Cranial Crush, and then I can activate Bravo. I can activate Bravo not beforehand, but then afterwards I activate Bravo and I can attack with Spinal Crush. That's a 16-point turn and Spinal Crush effect. So I'm pretty much just gonna take whatever they do here. Plus, I could only block one of the Arcane anyway, so they'd have to make another Rune Chant before I could even use my blue that I pitched. Brazil. Oh, you're from Brazil. That's cool. The game entered here in December. Locals are few and the cards are really expensive. Ooh, that's fair. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, like testing it before you get into a game. Make sure you like it. Like, absolutely. I 100% hear you. I am very fortunate where I live that there's a pretty good sized community here, and that there's quite a bit of people that play it and quite a few stores that carry it. So I am very fortunate for that. But man, honestly, I hope you love it. I don't know if you've ever played other card games in the past. I was a big Magic player. Like I still play Magic with my buddies from time to time, but I was a big Magic player before I got into Flesh and Blood, and I pretty much just now play and stream Flesh and Blood exclusively. So I don't really know what my opponent's doing here. Is it me? Do I need to refresh? Don't really... Oh, there we go. Of course, I said something right as they went to go play an E-Strike. Cool, you're loving it so far? Dude, that's awesome. I'm glad you like it, man. It's an awesome game with a great community. Hey, Pedicera, thanks for the follow. I don't know why I didn't get the notification. That's weird. It didn't pop up and tell me you were following. Well, regardless, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it, man. So, Meet and Greet's not going to hit, but Meet and Greet says if it hits, create a Rune Chant token. And it says if you have dealt or deal arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, Meet and Greet gains Go Again. So I took 2 arcane off of the Sonata, so this has Go Again. But this is not going to hit me because of the Pulverize effect. This is coming in for -2. So I wonder why. I wonder why that didn't come through. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm very curious to know why the follow notification didn't come through. It should have popped up there. So we take nothing. They get a rune chant because of Viscerai's ability off of playing the meet and greet, not off of it actually hitting me. And now they're gonna E-strike probably for 7 if I had to guess. I'm just gonna go to 21 here, honestly, because I don't really have to do anything here. Like, my hand is just absolutely insane. Now it is probably incorrect on my part to disrespect Viscerai as much as I am right now by just not blocking and by just attacking, and I have yet to pitch anything to prevent Arcane, but this is a real... my hands were Dominate, Pulverize, followed by Rouse the Ancients into Spinal Crush with Dominate. Like, that's just insane. Karen, what are you doing? What are you doing, sweet kitty? No? Are you a grouchy kitty right now? Fine, I won't pet you then if you're being grouchy. So I'm going to go Cranial Crush, Chokeslam, and then Crush the Weak in pitch deck. I want to see the Cranial Crush before I see anything else, so... And I want to see the Cranial Crush before I see anything else, just because Cranial Crush attacks for 8, and Crush the Weak attacks for 5, and Chokeslam attacks for 6, so... So they take 3. And then we have 9 Dominate. So if they have Grasp of the Arknight and a card from hand, it's for 5. They can ineffectively give me Skullcap here, which I'm honestly okay with, because it means Skullcap's going to be worth 2 points over the course of the game, as to where if you use Skullcap effectively, it's worth 3. Arcanite Skullcap is not really a card that's played super regularly anymore. It's played in like Tree Frog Dash and some decks like that, but Crown of Providence really took its place pretty fast. Arcanite Skullcap is a card that I really enjoy and I think is very good, because it really encourages... Like, Arcanite Skullcap really encourages efficient life total management. Excuse me. And that's not something you see a ton of. That's not something you see a whole lot of, honestly, anymore, I feel like. Scar for Scar kind of does it and some stuff like that, but Skullcap is really like a card that teaches that in a very positive way. If you're ever playing Flesh and Blood, or like you're getting into Flesh and Blood, like whatever your story is, and you want to see a really like awesome way, and you want to see a really awesome game in general, and a game that really showcases life total management, go watch the 2021 U.S. National Championship Finals match. It's Tariq Patel versus Michael Fang, and it's Chain versus Briar. It is some of the best gameplay I've probably ever watched. Like, I'm pretty inclined just to block 4 here. Take 3, go to 20, and then I get to have Rouse into Hammer, which is 13 points. So we play Rouse, we pitch Terra Sunder, we reveal Macho Grande, which is an 8, and Debilitate, which is a 6. For anybody who's watching that's pretty new to the game, Rouse the Ancients has an additional cost where I may reveal any number of attack action cards from my hand with total cost 13 power or more. So if the attacks that I reveal have 13 power or more, this gets +7 and go again. Rouse the Ancients is one of the cards that really allows Bravo, Oldhim, any Guardian hero to have like an insanely good turn. So from here, I'm going to make a Surge, which clears the chain. And then I'm going to throw the Hammer for 6. I don't really want to arsenal either one of my cards. If I could have kept the Terra Sunder to arsenal it, I would have here. But I needed to pitch the Terra Sunder so that I could reveal my 14 points from my other 2 cards. Ah! So I rip my mic across the thing here. So my opponent uses Skullcap and takes 4. I'm going to go Terra Sunder, Macho Grande, then Debilitate. Chokeslam Pummel's a very good hand. Read the runes as their entire turn, which is awesome. Because they're just going to make 2 rune chant tokens and then pass here. Because Viserai is not active. They're just going to arsenal their last card. We're going to play Red Chokeslam, which is not super relevant against my opponent's deck, but... Oh! I made a Surge last turn. So this is the second time I've done that. We're definitely... This is... definitely a punt moment. So, since I had the Surge, this only costs 3, which means I should have pitched my Buckling Blow, activated Tectonic Plating, played the Chokeslam, pitching the Buckle, and then have Pummel and 2 resources left in my hand, which gives me the exact opportunity, like the exact amount of resources that I need to use my whole hand here. And now next turn, I'm not going to have a... no. What am I doing? I'm sorry, opponent. Lord, I'm like having a stroke right now. I wanted to play my Pummel right there, and I just clicked through it on accident. I guess they don't want to block now? I don't know. I backed up so that I could play my Pummel here. Let's see. Revert to the start of this turn. This will give my opponent the opportunity to block. I'm still not going to make a Seismic Surge because I forgot. And that's not cool. Now, they did get to see my Pummel, which is a little unfortunate for me, but... this has them taking 9 if they don't have a defense reaction here. I'm also surprised that they haven't blocked with Grasp to this point. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Talishar, playing against Viserai, and I did go first, and then we'll write down the result of our game here in a minute. Anytime you guys see me like typing off to the side here, it's because I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of all of my games that I play for all of my Pro Tour testing that I'm doing for Baltimore. So I keep a log. Oh, Lord. I feel like it helps me prepare better for tournaments, and I feel like it also helps the team better prepare so that they can have an understanding of my games and kind of what I played and some things like that. I don't even know what they revealed. Here we go. Malvern Skies, Whisper, Ninth Blade, Dread Triptych, Rune Flash. Well, they're probably going to take the Dread Triptych and the Ninth Blade here. If they take the Ninth Blade, they can throw the Ninth Blade at me because it'll cost 3, right? Or... oh, it costs 6. I can't count. So we have a couple of options here. We can either, knowing that they took the Rune Flash and the Dread Triptych, they're gonna play the Rune Flash here for free and then come in with the Rune Blade or the Reaping Blade here, which means our Sync Belows are blocking pretty ineffectively. I think I'm gonna pitch my Pummel here because my blue Pummel blocks for 2 from my hand, but I know that they have 3 Rune Chants, so I know that I'm gonna be able to block 2 more just off the back of what they do this turn. So I'll block 1, and then I won't block the last one. I'm gonna play Sync Below, and I'm gonna. This hand is very awkward. I honestly don't think I'm gonna put anything on the bottom. I think I'll just keep my hand because I can hammer for 4 and arsenal my Sync Below here. If they Reaping Blade me here by pitching their blue, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know why they would, like, what is Dread Triptych? Costs 3. If you've played a non-attack action card this turn, create a Rune Chant. If you've dealt arcane damage this turn, create a Rune Chant. And if this hits, create a Rune Chant token. Okay, so this is a pretty good card. They might arsenal this card, honestly, here and just pass to me. And if they do just kind of arsenal and pass here, then I'm actually not in a terrible spot. Because then I can play the hammer for 4. I'm just going to hammer for 4 here, arsenal my Sync Below, and then I have Sync Below and 4 equipment. Oh, excuse me, 4 equipment block left. Also, I have my Crown of Providence activation, so I have quite a bit of hand manipulation here that I can really use to set up. We've seen a Pulverize, a Spinal Crush, and a Choke Slam. I think, I mean, obviously seeing Crippling Crush would be like the play here, but I don't know. My opponent might just block with Skullcap here. They might, I don't know, they might save it. I'm kind of like looking at this thinking like maybe if your hand is insane, you go to 2 and you keep your 3 equipment block left for whatever whatever comes up after that. So it's good we have filtering here. So I'll probably block with Crown of Providence. I'll put the Sync Below on the bottom, and then I'll probably just go to reactions and use Sync Below, and I'll probably put the Disable on the bottom. Disable's a good card, but the Spinal Crush is just better. Spinal Crush is like just one of the, like, it's the second best attack that you can play off of a 4-card hand, in my opinion. The other one is Crippling Crush. That's the best one. Pulverize is obviously the best attack in the deck because it's an 18-point swing. But you also can't play it off of, like, if you just draw 4 cards every turn, you can never play Pulverize. Unless you're like in a matchup where you're playing Tunic or something. What you doing, Taryn? What you doing, sweet kitty? Taryn's still grouchy. But that's okay. Cats can be grouchy sometimes. Of course, so can I, so... Our opponent must have an interesting hand if they're sitting here thinking about what they're doing. Guys, while there's a break in the action, I do appreciate y'all coming by and hanging out today. I appreciate everybody who likes to just stop by and, you know, keep me company. I really enjoy streaming and hanging out with everybody. It's a lot of fun for me. And I really have a good time with it. So I appreciate you guys coming by and keeping me company. It definitely makes it a lot more fun for me. when everybody's like, hanging out and in the chat and talking and stuff like that. So, and to the people who are new to the stream or new to Flesh and Blood in general, like there's a lot of good content creators out there. And I do really appreciate you guys, choosing to come hang out with me. Because that's not always there's a lot of good content creators out there. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It means a lot. Also, like to take this moment, I'm going to plug my sponsor here. In the middle of the screen here, you see the House of Cards logo. That is the team and also the sponsor of my stream. Be sure to check them out. You can hit ! Sponsor anytime to find a link to their store. They sell commons on TCG Player, from anything like Crown of Seeds, all the way to down to like, singles, commons, rares, whatever you might need. So be sure to check them out if you're looking to get into the game and buy some cards. I think I'm going to throw the disable on the bottom, just in case they are playing the pummel list and they have another pummel here. The irony. Plus, now I can sink below my pummel if I need to. I can... I don't know. This... Like, I'm probably... Like, if they attack with anything else, I'm just going to, like, play my sink below here. Like, to get the pummel out of my hand, because I don't really want the pummel. Like... Hopefully we just don't hit another red. That's what I'd like to avoid if at all possible. Just dodge hitting another red here. The combat chain was closed and my opponent passed. What just happened? I don't even understand. Okay. So my opponent has 3 rune chants. They got one from Viserai. They got one from playing a non-attack action, and they got one because they had dealt me arcane damage this turn. I mean, throwing Spinal Crush here seems like the play. It is not great pitch stack for us because I'm going to have to go Cranial Crush, Sink Below, Pummel. But at the same time, like, the Sink Below will allow me to smooth my hand back out. And, one, my opponent's at 4. They can't take a lot of damage here. And 2, Spinal Crush is an extremely potent effect. They could have a reduced to Rune Chant here to really help cover this up. It's been a very long game. I feel like my opponent is playing very slowly. I mean, that does happen sometimes. Like, if you guys have ever played, like, if you guys ever play Magic or anything like that, and you come from playing like Modo, you kind of have like the 25-minute like chess clock, which I actually really enjoy because it, if your opponent is playing slow, it tells you. It lets you know, hey, like, your opponent's playing slow. Like, it's not you. Like, your opponent's going to run out of time and you're going to win because of that. And I do enjoy that aspect of it. But I understand why they don't have like a chess clock feature or some kind of timer on this client. This is a free-to-play client. You don't have to pay anything to get into it. It's just it's a web browser. Like, I'm literally playing this in Chrome right now. And this is not Flesh, like LSS does not want there to be an online client, but they've actively said that they're okay with there being an online client for as long as Talashar's doing it, and they do very much so say this is not in any way affiliated with LSS all over their website. Hey, first time watcher, long time fan. That's right. You always have a place tomorrow, Andrew. What's going on, dude? What you been up to, man? Did you go to Richmond this weekend? Opponent has disconnected. Sag. Hope that means they like haven't actually like. I hope they're not like gone. Like, don't get me wrong. This game's over one way or another. Like I've pretty much won this game. They're going to 2. They have 2 cards in an arsenal in their hand. Like, and I'm still at 15. Considering the fact that we're going to go into this next turn with me having a 13-point life lead. I did not. Moving soon? Oh, like, you like moving across town? Or are you like moving like states? Or like, I hope it's not like, I hope you're not moving far away. Greenville's only like 3 hours for me, so we get to come to a ProQuest up there every now and again. I guess they left the game. Moving down the street. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, I hope the move's a good thing. I was like, moving can be a bad thing, I suppose. I don't know, but I hope it's for the best. So let's see. We're 3-0. We're gonna mark that as a win against the old Viserai deck. Bravo, go, Burr. Honestly, sometimes I don't really know what else to put other than notes like that. Like I opened up with an extremely hot start. I opened up with a very good hand. Like I went first and I had Heave Pulverize after making a Surge off of a Showtime, which gave me a 5th card. So like, I don't know, like that felt pretty good. Levia. Now, this is something I've never played against before as Bravo, so we're definitely going to see what happens here. We take out Remembrance, A Pulverize, the blue and red unmovables, and Zealous Beltings. Wonder why we take out the unmovables. I am intrigued by that decision. Also, kind of like that guy's name, Nick Magic. It's kind of cool. The Husk. The Husk is pretty good. So let's make a Surge and pass. I'm going to Arsenal the Command and Conquer here. If for no other reason than Command and Conquer Pummel is a very good play. Oh, they roll a 5? Ew. You stop that. Oh, it has Go Again and Dominate. So I can't stop this. Is Command and Conquer Pummel? Well, like, yeah. So I can play the Command and Conquer by pitching Buckling Blow, pitch the other Command and Conquer to play Pummel, and then Arsenal my Spinal Crush, or I can block 3 and then dominate a Spinal Crush. All right. Let's take 3 here. We'll see what else they throw at us. The fact that this has Go Again is very, very obnoxious. I honestly think I'm just going to have to take this. Go to 31. If that had been a blue, like if my other Command and Conquer in my hand had been a blue, I would have been able to throw the Spinal Crush. Throw the Spinal Crush and the Pummel, which would have been for 11. So, or if I had drawn a red Pummel, I would have just been able to Spinal Crush with Pummel, which, like, Spinal Crush and Crippling Crush with Pummel is just an awesome play. Like, it's just very good. It's just inherently, like, a great play. I'm also intrigued that my opponent's playing Skullcap. This is like the second time I played against Skullcap today. Dory was playing Cash In. Yeah, this is the second time I played against Skullcap today, which is, like, spicy. One of the things that I really like about playing Bravo is that you get a lot of equipment block. Like you get 3 from Tectonic Plating, 3 from Crater Fist, 2 from Crown of Providence, and 1 from here. So you get 9 in total. You're going to... Oh my gosh. So they're going to give me the... Yeah, so they're going to give me Skullcap. Like, I don't... Like, it's not... It doesn't block for 2. Like, it's an inadequate Skullcap is what I would say. So let's put the Crippling Crush on the bottom. And then I'm going to Arsenal the Sink Below here. Like, this is a very good play. And they probably won't give us the Carrion Husk here because they want to hang on to the Carrion Husk as long as possible. But, oh. Immediately had to eat my words there. So they blocked 10. I mean, okay. Like, well, Arsenal the Sink Below here because I still think that's our best play. Shoo! Our opponent's like running hot here. Like, maybe Levia is like just the play. Like, maybe Levia just beats up on all the Guardians. They are out of equipment block here. So, they do have 1 Blood Debt. They discarded a Pulping. They're going to play Art of War, so they're going to banish a 6 or more so that they can activate Levia and turn off the Blood Debt. Levia has a pretty cool effect where they get to turn off Blood Debt. And they banish Beast Within. Okay. We want to find an attack here. Like, they have 1 floating. They do have things that cost 1. Like, all right, well, let's take 1 more. God, seriously? Okay. I mean, are we going to take 7, go to 15 here, and then hope that Terra Sunder Hammer is enough to take some cards out of their hand? Boys, let me tell you, this game is not looking good. I am down 22. I can, like, count on one hand the amount of games I've played since I started playing Flesh and Blood where I've been down that many points. We're just going to go to 30 and discard 2 cards and keep a hand. So they get to banish this here, which is not bad. Honestly, we take nothing, and we're just going to throw the hammer back at them for 6. Like, we had to have a turn where we could try to take some tempo back, and we definitely did, because we get to take nothing and throw hammer here and try to set up a little bit. Like, there's going to be a lot of crawling if we're going to crawl back into this game. And I do mean a lot of crawling. Like, this hand's going to have to be blocked through. My man's just rolled a 6. So, we're dead. Oh my gosh. Like, this is so bad. Like, I needed them to, like, Like, if they pitch a blue here, they get to just come in with claws twice. Which means I'm going to go to 11. They didn't have blues. They had a yellow, thank God. So we pass. Oh, man. This game has been rough. I'm going to make a note to myself to go back and review this one later, because this has been tough. Yeah, like, I don't know, like tomorrow or something, I'm going to make a note to like sit down and review this game, because this was... I feel like so far this has been a good example of how not to play Bravo. So we'll make a surge, come in with Command and Conquer, which will get 2 cards out of their hand, which is kind of nice. Which means maybe, just maybe, depending on what's in their arsenal, we might have an opportunity to either turn off their Blood Debt, or like not let them turn off their Blood Debt so they can take some damage and maybe just throw a Claw. Not super likely. I imagine they would just take 6, go to 18 here, and then lose their arsenal to keep a functioning hand before they would let us turn on their Blood Debt, because their Blood Debt is worth 6 points. Like, it is worth noting, like, or 4 points, I mean. I can't math. All right. I mean, yeah, like, wait, what the heck? So they're a ways away from their Reckless Swing. I could block 2, take 8, go to 5, and then throw a Crippling Crush and try to crawl back into the game. Or I could block 9, go to 12. Like, I feel like I have to try to get back into this game. It's tough. Like, this is really tough, but I feel like I have to try to get back into this game. Now, they did go to 20. They did take 4 life off of their Blood Debt, so that is promising. They have to give me 3 cards here. If they give me 3 cards, they take 2, and then they have 1 card in hand, which means they claw, and then I can use my hand effectively. Like, we're doing everything we can right now. Our opponent's probably trying to decide how they want to do this. They're out of equipment. They cannot give me 2 cards here. They have to have, like, double Reckless Swing, which is physically impossible because they pitched a Reckless Swing, like, super early in the game, and they just pitched one last turn. Now, they could have a Sink Below. Like, there are a few things they could have here, but they have to get to 8, not 7. And the difference in 7 and 8 is really good when you're blocking. The one good thing about the Crippling Crush turn is that they took 4 last turn from Blood Debt. And unless they can find a way to, like, cobble together a way to get rid of their Blood Debt here, they're also going to have to, like, take Blood Debt next turn. Okay, so they go to 18. This is exactly what we thought was going to happen. So I can Sink Below the Claw here, and then I can dominate a Chokeslam. Or if they just decide not to attack, we could Arsenal the Sink Below, which would be insane. We've seen 2 Blood Rush Bellows, right? Or have we seen all 3? We've seen all 3 Blood Rush Bellows and an Art of War? And an Art of War. So that's pretty good for us. They're really debating if attacking for 3 here is worth it. Oh. Okay, so here's the question we get to ask ourselves. We go to 2, they go to 14, and then we Arsenal Sink Below after we dominate Chokeslam? I mean, it's life now or life later, and the Sink Below is an ineffective... It is an ineffective... Like, it's a... I'm not blocking... It's an inefficient block. That's what I'm looking for. It is an effective block because it does keep us at 5, but I think I would rather have the Sink Below. Well, I don't know. Us paying it 2 kind of just kills us to the last Reckless Swing, which means they basically just need to stay alive until they can get to the last Reckless Swing, which I did not think about. Yeah, but I should have definitely played the Sink Below there. Okay. I really, 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 really wish I could play that Pulverize right now. It's nice to know that they had a somewhat of a human hit here. Blood Debt is still active. I'm blocking with Debilitate and Pulverize here. And if they have the Pummel, I have the Sink Below. Man, I am getting ever closer. I really hope that my Sink Below mistake does not cost me the game. Ah, and they had it. Yes, no. It did cost me the game. Ah, yeah, that was... So that was one of those games that I fell behind very quickly, very early. And I should have played the Sink Below the turn he came in with a Claw. Because if I'm at 5, he can't just Reckless Swing me right there. Man. Yeah, that one, like... So I always tell people the things that I can't stand about card games is losing when you could have done nothing. At least knowing that I lost that game on the back of my own bad decision, I can look at that and go, you know what? I could have won that game. Like, there was an opportunity for me to win that game, to have played better and won that game. And I can live with that. I can live with the fact that I could have played better and won. So I'm going to make a note about how I did not play around Reckless Swing. Let's see. Talishar. We're playing against Levia. I went first. Honestly, can't remember. Yeah, I think I went first. Loss. Did not play around Reckless Swing number 3 when I could have. Do better next time. Definitely going to make a note for myself there, just because I like... Just a silly mistake that I gotta make sure I keep up with next time. All right. Well, it's been almost 2 hours. We've been streaming for a while. We got 4 games in. I need to do some laundry and do some stuff, grab some dinner. So I'm gonna hop off here. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. As always, means a lot. Petacera, thanks for the follow, buddy. I appreciate it. And let's see. I will not be on tomorrow, and I don't think I'll be on Tuesday. Probably be streaming on Thursday. Be the next day I'll be streaming. I think that's what we're looking at. So yeah, I'll be back Thursday, and I'll see you guys then. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.